Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News, our India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Coming up in the next hour, PM Modi hold talks with Mongolian president in New Delhi, signed multiple MOUs. Both sides review entire gamut of bilateral relations. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh reaffirms India's commitment towards international peace and security, addresses United Nations troop contributing countries chiefs conclave in New Delhi. China begins collecting special port fees from US-owned, operated, built or flagged vessels, exempts Chinese-built ships. US also to implement new port entry service fees. In a big boost to India's artificial intelligence ecosystem, Google announces $15 billion AI and data center investment in Andhra Pradesh's Vishakhapatnam. And in cricket, Kuldeep Yadav's heroics guide India to 7-wicket win against West Indies in Delhi. Complete 2-0 sweep in Gill's first series victory. Jadeja named player of the series. President of Mongolia Khurel Sukhukhna is on India visit. Prime Minister Modi and President of Mongolia today witnessed exchange of MOUs between India and Mongolia in Delhi. Several MOUs were exchanged, boosting cooperation, aligning with India's Act East policy and Mongolia's third neighbor diplomacy, fostering regional stability.
वैश्विक मुद्दों पर हमारा दृष्टिकोण हमारे साझा मूल्यों पर आधारित है। अंतर्राष्ट्रीय मंचों पर हम करीबी साझेदार हैं। हम दोनों देश फ्री, ओपन, इंक्लूसिव और रूल बेस्ड इंडो पैसिफिक का समर्थन करते हैं। ग्लोबल साउथ की आवाज को सशक्त करने के लिए भी हम मिलकर काम करते हैं।
PM Modi and President of Mongolia also released a commemorative stamp to mark 70 years of diplomatic relations between India and Mongolia. Prime Minister Modi held delegation-level talks with Mongolian President Khurel Sukhukhna at Hyderabad House in Delhi, strengthening the 70-year India-Mongolia strategic partnership. Discussions focused on defense, trade, energy, mining, cybersecurity and cultural ties. Both leaders emphasized a free, rule-based Indo-Pacific and Global South advocacy. Both sides, India and Mongolia, reviewed the entire gamut of bilateral relations. Earlier, President of Mongolia Khurel Sukhukhna on Monday arrived in New Delhi on a 4-day visit to India. He was received by Union Minister of State for Civil Aviation Muralidhar Mohol at the airport. The visiting dignitary also inspected the Guard of Honor. The President of Mongolia is accompanied by a high-level delegation comprising cabinet ministers, members of parliament, senior officials, business leaders and cultural representatives. This is President's first visit to India as President. India and Mongolia are strategic partners, spiritual neighbors and third neighbors. The state visit of Mongolian President will provide an opportunity for the leadership of both nations to review progress in bilateral relations, set the vision for strengthening the strategic partnership and exchange views on regional and global issues of mutual interest. Shifting focus, India on Monday slammed Pakistan for violating the agenda of the UN's Children and Armed Conflict by carrying out attacks in Afghanistan and India targeting schools and students. Delivering India's statement on promotion and protection of rights of children, BJP leader Nishikant Dubey described Pakistan as one of the worst violators of UN's Children and Armed Conflict agenda and pointed out serious issues not just within Pakistan but also in neighbouring regions.
My chair, I thank the briefers for today's presentation and acknowledging India's positive achievement in their reports. Pakistan, on the other hand, is an example of stark contrast. It is a country that stands among the most serious violators of the CAC agenda. We categorically reject their attempt to divert global attention from the grave abuses committed against children within its own borders and corroborated in 2025 Secretary General's report on CAC, as well as its ongoing cross-border terrorism. Beyond its borders, the same report elaborates Pakistan's attacks on schools, particularly girls' schools, on healthcare workers, and highlights incidents along with the Afghanistan border where Pakistani cross-border shelling and airstrikes were directly responsible for the killing and maiming of Afghan children.
He thanked member nations for recognizing New Delhi's efforts to uphold child rights through initiatives such as Child Helpline and steps taken to counter child trafficking, and condemned Pakistan's attempt to shift attention away from these abuses.
My chair, the international community has not forgotten the brutal targeted attacks carried out by Pakistani-trained terrorists which claims the lives of 26 innocent civilians in Pahalgam, Jammu and Kashmir on 22nd April 2025. In a measured and non-escalatory response, India's exercised its legitimate right to defend its people against terrorism and bring its organizers, the perpetrators, to justice, and the conducted targeted strikes in May 2025 under Operation Sindoor against 9 terrorist hubs. In contrast, Pakistan deliberately targeted our borders, villages, resulting in civilian deaths, including children. Pakistan must look itself in the mirror, stop preaching sermons in this form, act to protect children within its own borders, and stop targeting women and children across its borders. Thank you.
And Nishikant Dubey is leading India's parliamentary delegation at the UNGA. The delegation arrived in New York on Tuesday to participate in the General Assembly proceedings. Moving on, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh today reaffirmed India's commitment to a rules-based international order, highlighting the importance of regional security and cooperation. Addressing the conference of heads of United Nations troop contributing countries in New Delhi, he said at a time when some nations are violating international rules openly, India is advocating for the reformation of outdated international structures.
Friends, nowadays, some nations are openly violating the international rules. Some are trying to undermine it, while some want to create their own rules and dominate the next century. In all this, India, while advocating for the reformation of outdated international structures, stands strong in upholding the international rules-based order.
On the occasion, Rajnath Singh asserted that India has stood firm with the United Nations in its mission to maintain international peace and security. He said that to strengthen peacekeeping missions, India is developing cost-effective indigenous technologies to enhance responsiveness and safety.
Under Atmanirbhar Bharat, India has developed cost-effective indigenous technologies that strengthen peacekeeping missions in form of land mobility platforms, secure communications, surveillance systems, UAVs, and medical support solutions. These innovations enhance situational awareness, responsiveness, and safety.
And the three-day conference brings together senior military leaders from 32 nations that contribute troops to UN peacekeeping missions. As one of the largest contributors to UN missions, India aims to share best practices, build consensus, and promote inclusivity under the ethos of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the world is one family. The program features addresses along with plenary sessions, defense exhibitions, bilateral talks, and cultural exchanges. And Chief of the Army Staff, General Upendra Dwivedi, welcomed the participants and reflected on India's deep-rooted legacy in UN peacekeeping from Korea to Congo with involvement in 51 missions to date. He described his own 1993 deployment as a proud moment, adding that only a soldier can effectively carry out peacekeeping.
A peacekeeper, apart from being a security provider, is a diplomat, a technology enthusiast, a nation builder in far-flung areas, and also maybe the only media for flow of information in conflict zones. The blue helmet, or caste blue, can in fact be called the glue that binds a mission and facilitates the functioning of the other organs of United Nations as also the NGOs. Given this crucial role of peacekeepers, we have no choice but to be future ready, which may require bold imagination and practical adaptation.
All right, Vishal Baristo joins us to talk more on this. He has been covering this conclave. Hi, Vishal. First of all, tell us what were the main points highlighted by Defence Minister Rajnath Singh in his address.
Well, a very good afternoon to you, Abhishek. Let me tell you that this conclave India is hosting, it's a 3-day conclave, and India takes great pride in being the largest contributor to UN peacekeeping troops, and India has been at the forefront, which also the Defence Minister highlighted that India has sent missions to more than 50 peacekeeping missions, and definitely this 3-day conclave is also focusing on India's self-reliance as far as promoting indigenous solutions globally. So this is a very important conference with 32 countries sending their military chiefs, and India wants to tell the world that India is all for international peace and international rule of law. And India, when it says that it wants to be a wish guru, means teacher of the world, it means that it wants to uphold international rule and spread love and peace across the world. And the Defence Minister also spoke about Mahatma Gandhi and his values for non-violence and peace across the world. Abhishek?
Vishal, also, what are the expected outcomes of this conference in terms of cooperation or agreements?
Well, this conclave would be focusing on how to exchange technology, how to exchange intelligence inputs amongst member countries, and how the member countries, particularly those who are advanced, can lead this mission both financially and also militarily. So the Undersecretary of the UN Peacekeeping Mission also highlighted the financial crunch being faced by these missions and how it can affect in the lesser number of boots on ground zero. But he did say that the time is changing and we need to focus more on the changing technology. And he also appealed to the member countries to cooperate and help each other with the technological advancements that each one of them has made. And India, being at the forefront of indigenization of technology, has also declared that India is ready to provide any kind of help, whether it is for the equipments, whether it is for the building material, building equipments, or whatever kind of help that India can provide. India is happy to share its indigenous technology.
Vishal, also, before we leave you, we are speaking about Defence Minister's address there. How did he link India's peacekeeping initiatives to the broader ethos of Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam while discussing regional security?
Well, interestingly, the Defence Minister highlighted what is Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam. We told the world in our G20 summit that was held in Delhi, and that India believes in world as a family. Anywhere, any place, if there is a problem, India is ready to support, India is ready to help. Because India believes in friendly relations, India believes in camaraderie, India believes in brotherhood, whether providing technological help or intelligence inputs, because the challenges are also changing. We have to be future ready, and we know how terrorism and climate change are affecting the world order, and the changing geopolitical situation is also affecting the global peace and order. So that is why he said that India believes that world is a family, so any problem anywhere, it would affect everybody, and India has always followed the motto of the world is a family.
All right, Vishal, we'll leave it at that. Thank you for getting us your inputs on that story. Moving on, the 4th edition of the India-Australia joint military exercise, Austra Hind, commenced at Irvine Barracks in Australia's Perth on Monday. The 14-day exercise aims to enhance interoperability, joint planning and execution capabilities of both armies in diverse operational environments. Notably, the joint drills will focus on counter-terrorism operations in urban and semi-urban terrain, a vital operational domain in the contemporary security landscape. The participating contingents will also rehearse scenarios drawn from United Nations peacekeeping operations, simulating realistic multinational missions that demand close coordination, adaptability and rapid response. Austra Hind 2025 will reaffirm the shared commitment of the Indian and Australian armies towards regional peace, security and stability, while further strengthening the foundation of trust and cooperation between the two countries. Now, the Confederation of Indian Industries is holding the 13th Bioenergy Summit 2025 in New Delhi on Tuesday. The one-day event focusing on fueling India's green revolution and forging global partnerships is witnessing day-long discussions and deliberations on the future biofuels and the shared partnership in the global order. The event was inaugurated by the Brazilian ambassador to India, Kenneth Felix da Nobrega. Speaking at the inaugural session, Nobrega said that the cooperation between India and Brazil in the biofuel sector has been growing, with a commitment to transition to cleaner fuel in the coming future. Take a listen.
The relations between our two countries in the field of energy are diverse and comprehensive, ranging from substantial oil exports and imports to productive partnerships on biofuels, energy transmission and renewable energy. President Lula and Honorable Prime Minister Modi stressed the need to promote clean, sustainable, affordable and inclusive energy transition through multiple pathways, highlighting the importance of technology-neutral approaches to the deployment of diverse low-emission fuels.
All right, still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. India welcomes landmark Gaza peace agreement, reaffirming commitment to dialogue and diplomacy. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to meet Donald Trump in Washington on Friday. And also Donald Trump to attend signing of Thailand-Cambodia peace deal.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Some more stories. It was a momentous day with scenes of celebrations as Israel's last surviving hostages returned home from Gaza after 2 years. Meanwhile, hundreds of Palestinian prisoners and detainees were released as part of the first phase of US President Donald Trump's peace plan.
For some, it is a moment that has taken a long time to come. For many, it's a moment they were waiting for. And for the entire world, it's a moment that has brought a sense of calm and welcome relief. Tears, cheers and tightly held embraces, Israel's last surviving hostages have come home after 2 harrowing years in Gaza captivity. The release of hostages took place in stages. They were released in 2 groups, one group of 7 and a group of 13. They were first handed to the International Committee of the Red Cross by Hamas in Gaza. They were then met by IDF troops who escorted them back to Israel. Families were reunited at medical centers. The newly freed hostages are now receiving urgent medical care. Some weak, malnourished, others still in shock, but not all made it back alive. The Israeli military received 4 coffins, the remains of 4 hostages returned by Hamas, while the fate of 24 others remains unknown. And across the divide, another kind of homecoming. In Gaza and the West Bank, joy echoed through the streets, over 1,900 Palestinian prisoners and detainees freed. Many unanswered questions and a nation unsure if this fragile calm is the beginning of lasting peace or just another pause in a painful cycle.
The bottom line is this really a peace deal, or is this only a hostage release deal plus a temporary ceasefire? It's still unclear, but I'm fearful that it's more the latter than the former.
But even in celebrations, questions linger about what happens next and whether or not the plan really will be a path to lasting peace. In Hostages Square, a clock keeping the count of amount of days the hostages have been in Gaza is still ticking. Bureau Report, DD India.
And India welcomed landmark Gaza peace agreement, reaffirming commitment to dialogue and diplomacy. According to a statement issued by External Affairs Ministry, India welcomes the signing of the landmark peace agreement between Israel and Hamas. Further, India hopes that this will lead to lasting peace in the region, which India will always support. It added that this is a reflection of India's long-standing commitment to dialogue and diplomacy. Aimed for long-standing support for a negotiated two-state solution, India's Minister of State for External Affairs, Kirti Vardhan Singh, attended the Gaza Peace Summit at Sharm el-Sheikh, co-hosted by US President Trump and Egyptian President el-Sisi. Kirti Vardhan Singh attended the summit as special representative of Prime Minister Modi. Earlier, Prime Minister Modi too welcomed the release of all Israeli hostages by Hamas after more than 2 years in captivity. PM Modi wrote on social media platform X, and I quote him here, "We welcome the release of all hostages after 2 years of captivity. Their freedom stands as a tribute to the courage of their families, the unwavering peace efforts of President Trump, and the strong resolve of Prime Minister Netanyahu. We support President Trump's sincere efforts to bring peace to the region." Unquote. And US President Trump has hailed his friendship with India as he addressed world leaders at a summit in Egypt held shortly after the hostage prisoner swap under the Gaza ceasefire commenced. He also praised Prime Minister Modi, saying he is a very good friend.
India is a great country with a very good friend of mine at the top, and has just done a fantastic job.
Trump's comments follow a recent phone call between him and PM Modi, during which PM Modi congratulated the US President on the success of Gaza peace plan. PM Modi also discussed progress in trade negotiations. Latest update on Russia-Ukraine conflict now. Around 30,000 people in Ukraine's second largest city, Kharkiv, were without power on Monday after Russian forces struck energy infrastructure with guided bombs, according to local officials. Taking to the social media account, Regional Governor Ole Sinyehubov said Russian forces had targeted the Nemyshlyansky and the Slobodski districts in the southeast of the city and Shevchenkivsky district in the north, while Kharkiv Mayor Ihor Terekhov said that power lines and a hospital had been damaged and that 4 people had been injured, predominantly by flying shards of glass. Earlier, an attack on the capital Kyiv and other large cities left more than 1 million homes and businesses without power and also disrupted water supplies. Meanwhile, Russian Defense Ministry claimed on Monday that its forces had captured 2 more small villages, one in the eastern Donetsk region and one near Kupiansk in the Kharkiv region. And Ukrainian President Zelensky said on Monday that he would meet US President Donald Trump in Washington on Friday. During a press conference with the EU's top diplomat Kaja Kallas, Zelensky said that he had shared with Trump a vision of how many US Tomahawk missiles Ukraine needs for its conflict effort against Russia, and that the 2 leaders would discuss further details on the matter on Friday. While Trump has said he's considering sending Tomahawks to Ukraine, though he has also said he might talk to Russian President Putin about it.
I hope that I will have possibility to come to Washington and have a meeting on Friday with President. The main topic is air defense, and also I will have a meeting with energy companies. I needed that was a proposition from President, and yes, and I will have meeting with some companies because there are some needs, what we need now because of different format of attacks, even not those attacks which Russia already did. Yes, but we have to prepare in any case.
And US President Donald Trump on Monday reiterated his belief that Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan could play a pivotal role in ending the conflict between Russia and Ukraine.
Erdogan can. He's respected by Russia. Ukraine I can't tell you about, but he is respected by Putin. And he's a friend of mine, you can see. Why? I get along with the tough ones. I don't get along with the weak ones. I get along with the tough ones. I don't know what that is, but Erdogan's been great with me. When NATO has a problem with Erdogan, which they often do, they call me to talk to him. And I've never failed in working it out like immediately. Is that right?
US President Donald Trump will attend the ASEAN Summit in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia from October 26th to 28th to oversee the signing of Thailand-Cambodia Peace Accord. Malaysian Foreign Minister Muhammad Hassan said Trump, who helped secure a ceasefire after July's border clashes that killed over 40 and displaced 300,000, aims to advance a deal involving landmine clearance and troop withdrawals. The proposed Kuala Lumpur declaration seeks lasting peace, but tensions persist. Thailand's Prime Minister Anutin Charnvirakul insists Cambodia relocate border residents, remove mines and tackle scams before reopening crossings. Cambodia's PM Hun Manet defends the long-standing presence of its citizens and denies truce breaches. Now, Madagascar's President Andry Rajoelina left the country after an elite military unit turned against his government, the second time that young protesters have toppled the government in just over a month of worldwide Gen Z unrest. Setini, leader of the opposition in parliament, said that Rajoelina left Madagascar on Sunday after units of the army defected and joined the protesters. His office has not confirmed his location. A statement issued earlier said there was an attempt to seize power illegally and by force. The president has not appeared in public since the weekend. The revolt followed 3 weeks of youth-led protest in Antananarivo. The president's office had announced a national address on Monday evening, but it was delayed after soldiers stormed the state broadcaster. Now, Britain's unemployment rate has edged up to the highest level in over 4 years, official data showed on Tuesday, adding to the country's economic strains ahead of the government's annual budget. The rate reached 4.8% in 3 months to the end of August, the highest level since the first half of 2021. That compared with unemployment at 4.7% in 3 months to the end of July. The data comes as Britain endures stagnant growth and stubbornly high inflation around 6 weeks before the Labour government sets out its latest tax and spending plans. Now, the security measures around the United States Embassy in Dhaka have been strengthened following specific intelligence about a possible militant attack. According to the reports, at the request of the embassy, a specialized unit of the Dhaka Metropolitan Police, the Special Weapons and Tactics team, was deployed to the Baridra diplomatic zone on Monday. The elite force is specially trained to respond to the potential terrorist incidents. A senior DMP official, speaking on condition of anonymity, confirmed the deployment. Another police source said that security patrols and surveillance in the diplomatic area have been intensified. A police intelligence unit has reportedly secured photographs of 3 suspected individuals believed to be connected to a possible attack plot. Acting on this intelligence, the special branch issued a confidential letter to the Dhaka Metropolitan Police Commissioner directing heightened security measures around the embassy and its surrounding areas. Let's now take a look at other stories making news around the world. Scientists in Australia have successfully found an innovative use of AI in immunotherapy by using AI tools similar to Google Maps to analyze cancer cells. It enabled researchers to identify which lung cancer patients would benefit from an expensive immunotherapy drug, Keytruda. Qatar Foundation on Education, Science and Community Development has committed to Nigeria towards reforming the Al-Majiri education system. The foundation will also address the out-of-school children crisis in the African nation. Mexico's local radio serves as lifeline for stranded communities as the Mexican town San Bartolo struggles to survive with roads blocked by landslides, preventing authorities from coming to their aid. Still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. US-China rollout tit-for-tat port fees, detailed discussion post-break. And gold hits record high on US rate cuts, bets silver follows suit.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Hello. Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout ho gaya.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Recap of our top stories. PM Modi holds talks with Mongolian President in New Delhi, signed multiple MOUs. Both sides review entire gamut of bilateral relations. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh reaffirms India's commitment towards international peace and security, addresses United Nations troop contributing countries Chiefs Conclave in New Delhi. China begins collecting special port fees from US-owned operated built or flagged vessels, exempts Chinese-built ships. US also to implement new port entry service fees. Google announces $15 billion AI and data center investment in Andhra Pradesh's Vishakhapatnam. Prime Minister Modi welcomes the step, says it aligns with our vision to build a Viksit Bharat. And Kuldeep Yadav's heroics guide India to 7 wickets win against West Indies in Delhi, completes 2-0 sweep in Gill's first series victory. Jadeja named player of the series. China's Ministry of Transport announced that starting 14th October, special port charges will apply to United States vessels at Chinese ports. China said it had started to collect the special charges on US-owned operated built or flagged vessels, but clarified that Chinese-built ships would be exempted from the levies. This measure responds to the US port service fees effective the same day, targeting Chinese-owned, operated, flagged or built ships following a Section 301 investigation by the United States Trade Representative into China's maritime, logistics and shipbuilding sectors. Early this year, President Trump's administration announced plans to levy the fees on China-linked ships to loosen that country's grip on the global maritime industry and bolster US shipbuilding. In a reprisal against China curbing exports of critical minerals, Trump on Friday threatened to impose additional 100% tariffs on goods from China and put new export controls on any and all critical software by November 1st. And with the updates coming in, Chinese and Hong Kong stocks tumbled as investors booked profits and sought shelter in defensive plays, spooked by renewed Sino-US trade tensions that appear more entrenched than anticipated. The Shanghai Composite closed down 0.6% in Hong Kong. The Hang Seng Index 1.7%, extending its losing streak to 7 sessions, the longest since January 2024. The city's tech index plunged as much as 4% in its worst day since April. All right, to understand more on this and what are the impacts and implications, we are joined by Professor Gulshan Sachdeva, School of International Studies, JNU. Welcome, Professor. Appreciate you giving us your precious time. How significant is this new round of port fees? Are we looking at a routine tariff dispute or the beginning of a deeper maritime confrontation between Washington and Beijing. Your take?
Well, I think this is not an isolated incident because what is really happening is in the last few months, since President Trump announced, the tariffs on large number of countries, and every country is trying to deal with that issue differently. Many of the countries in Europe, both the European Union, UK, Japan, and many others, they have some kind of made a deal with the United States, accepting, between say 15 to 20% of tariffs. We are also trying to work out a deal with the United States, but China is dealing in a very different manner because these are two large economies in the world. They are also deeply integrated with each other. So they know that both of them have cards to play. And I think before the final, whatever the kind of settlement they will have, both are trying to flex their muscles and best deal out of this. And the Chinese, I think the official position is that we do not want this war, but we are ready for this. We are, we'll fight till the end. So they have certain, it's not, President Trump has been announcing mainly tariffs, but, before this, even the port fees, because China is also major players in this, the global shipping industry. So United States feel that it could hurt them. Similarly, now China has, mentioned yesterday that they would restrict, supply of rare earth. They control more than 90% of the processed rare earth, and not just only processed one, they also control global, I think 70% of mining of rare earths, and all kind of major industries from car industry to defense industry to electronic industries to green industries. I think all of them, they do need rare earth, which is totally almost controlled now at the moment by Chinese. So China feel that they can also twist certain things if there is a problem from the other side. And you can see, and this off and on, because once President Trump announced this, after a few hours, then he said, everything will be fine and it's okay. So I think this is what I could feel that, now they are closer to finalize because, there is a deadline just few weeks away. And at one point of time, they started, 145% it was there from the United States. And I think close to 125% tariffs, even from the retaliatory tariffs from Chinese side. At the moment, it's something around, there are different ways I think things are happening, but something close to 58, 57% tariffs on the Chinese products. And similarly, the China has also imposed close to 25, 27% tariffs on the US products. So at the moment, still, I think that, the problem is there and that they're trying to sort it out. Nobody wants to back down. But problem is that, the longer it goes, the global markets are, as we have reported, they are nervous. And ultimately, it's also affecting the sentiments in the whole the business world, and it can hurt the global economy in a very beginning.
Exactly. But Professor Sachdeva, are there any wider implications? How will these measures affect shipping and trade between the two countries? And are there wider implications for global maritime trade?
Well, I think one is that, everybody, I think every country, including India, we have also concerned that, the large part of the shipping is controlled by China. So every country is also trying to build their own capacities and, different kind of supply routes. Now you are trying to do that, but that may take time. So shipping industry would obviously be affected because, ultimately a large part, or in fact exclusively, a large part of the trade actually goes via shipping only. And these two countries are, major players, particularly China is a major player, and the United States being again a major economy, and some of the companies are also interested, are also active in this area. So this will affect, all the things which are happening, and everything is linked with each other. Tariffs, your shipping industries, your rare earth, political sentiments, and overall how this is really affecting the global economic governance. That's the
Yeah.
larger question. Because ultimately, if every country try to settle these things bilaterally and they just keep announcing, then, in the process, we have almost, there is the collapse of the global trading system. There is the collapse of all kind of global norms, in fact, in which, these things need to work. And in a highly globalized economy, because, every country is integrated with other economy. So you can't really say that, this will not affect you, it will affect everybody. And if there are certain global rules of the game, then it's better for everyone. But in the end, what happened is that, if there are, if major countries like China and United States, if they start settling scores among themselves, depending on what their capacities are and how do they deal with this issue. Similarly, the third largest player, the European Union, they have also done the same thing bilaterally with the United States.
Yeah.
Now, in the process, in fact, large number of countries of the global south,
Yeah.
those who do not have the capacity like the European Union or China to fight with the United States, so they just have to then at the mercy of larger players. So whatever then later on is imposed on them, either they just have to accept it,
Yeah.
or they suffer certain consequences of this. This is not a very good news for the countries of the global south.
Yeah.
It's not a very good news for the global trading system or the global economic governance. But here we are, but this is what the things are happening, but the problem is at the moment, this is affecting the global market and the global economy and the global trade.
Hugely. And amid all this, Professor Sachdeva, what do you think are the possible next steps for China and also the US in this maritime and trade dispute?
Well, one is it's quite likely that they would come to some kind of understanding in the next few weeks or whenever they will find the suitable time. And both of them are also in the long run would try to diversify. This is what is happening. This is what I think that everybody has understood. China is looking more towards markets away from the United States. So they would be looking markets in Africa. They are looking markets in India. They are also looking markets, in Europe and other parts of the world where they can have certain kind of products can be absorbed in those markets. And we can also see to some extent relatively better economic understanding between India and China, because they would also, because the Indian economy is next to them. And if they lose certain markets in the United States, they would feel that yes, I mean, India could also absorb some of those products, but then they also have to negotiate in that sense. How do they really provide certain market access to Indian products into their markets? And then also they have to provide certain technologies to Indian modernization process. So, there are a large number of consequences which at this point of time, this is a moving kind of puzzle, So how this is happening between country A and B would obviously affect country C. But overall, the system is really in a trouble now.
Absolutely. And hope US and China come out with a solution in the coming days. We'll leave it at that. Professor Sachdeva, thank you for your insights.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Moving on, gold has hit an unprecedented high of $4,100 per ounce globally, with the Indian futures following suit. Driven by geopolitical tensions, record central bank purchases and a weakening US dollar, the rally echoes historic gold surges. More in this report by DD India's Antara Sinha.
Gold bullion has shattered records, surging past $4,100 per ounce globally, marking a historic peak. In India, MCX gold futures climbed to 1,23,313 rupees per 10 grams, up 1.62%, while silver prices remain volatile, trailing gold's rally without specific updates. Investors worldwide are flocking to gold as a safe haven asset amid rising uncertainties. Geopolitical tensions, including Russia-Ukraine and Israel-Hamas conflicts alongside US-China trade frictions, are driving demand. Central banks, notably the Reserve Bank of India, which repatriated 214 tons in 2024, purchased a record 1,180 tons globally, doubling historical averages. A 10% weaker US dollar in 2025, fueled by US President Donald Trump's tariff-driven $3.9 trillion debt proposals and Moody's US credit downgrade, further boosts global allure. Historically, gold experienced comparable $1,000 surges in the late 1970s to early 1980s, skyrocketing from $200 to $850 per ounce due to rampant inflation and crises like the Iranian Revolution, only to plummet 50% after Volcker's aggressive rate hikes. In the 1930s, a 70% spike occurred under Roosevelt's Gold Reserve Act, driven by Great Depression anxieties. In India, despite the Gold Control Act, 24 carat rose 45% from 937 rupees to 1,330 rupees per 10 grams in 1979 and 80. History suggests corrections may follow, though central bank buying could soften declines. Antara Sinha for DD India.
Still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. Google to invest $15 billion in AI hub in India. Sundar Pichai briefs Prime Minister Modi. In cricket, Australia suffer major blow ahead of the first ODI. Josh Inglis and Adam Zampa ruled out. Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Business updates now. Marking one of its biggest ever investment in the country, Google will invest $15 billion over the next 5 years to set up data center capacity for an artificial intelligence hub in India's Andhra Pradesh. The investment is one of Google's largest AI hub investments in the world outside of the US.
We're very pleased to announce a new gigawatt scale AI hub in Visakhapatnam. It's the largest AI hub that we are going to be investing in anywhere in the world outside of the US. It represents a capital investment over the next 5 years of $15 billion.
Union IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnav hailed the decision of Google for investing in India, said that digital infrastructure will go a long way in meeting the goals of India AI mission.
This digital infrastructure will go a long way in meeting the goals of our India AI mission. First, skilling. We all know that AI is fundamentally changing the way the world moves today. Under such circumstances, there is a serious concern among a lot of IT professionals of what their jobs will be, where they would, how their lives will be impacted. So it's very important for all of us, especially the industry, to reskill and upskill our IT professionals in a major way.
Earlier, Union Civil Aviation Minister Ram Mohan Naidu said that this investment is not just for Andhra Pradesh, but for the country.
Today is a historic day. I'm very happy that Google is announcing $10 billion data center in the state of Andhra Pradesh in Visakhapatnam. This $10 billion investment is going to create jobs up to 1,88,000. And also the kind of ancillaries and the other industries, other data centers, other technology infrastructure that is going to come is going to boost the GDP of more than 11,000 crores every year. That is the scale, that is the capacity of the investment that we are talking about.
And the move comes amid intensifying competition among big tech companies which are spending heavily on building new data center infrastructure to meet booming demand for AI services. Google alone has committed to spending some $85 billion this year to build out data center capacity. AI requires enormous computing power, pushing demand for specialized data centers that enable tech companies to link thousands of chips together in clusters. Microsoft and Amazon have already poured billions into building data centers in India, a key growth market for the global tech giants, where nearly 1 billion users access the internet. And Google CEO Sundar Pichai announced that he spoke to Prime Minister Modi and shared the US tech giant's plans for its first ever AI hub in Andhra Pradesh's Visakhapatnam. Calling it a landmark development, the Indian origin CEO Sundar Pichai on X wrote, and I quote him here, "Great to speak with India Prime Minister Narendra Modi to share our plans for the first ever Google AI hub in Visakhapatnam, a landmark development. This hub combines gigawatt-scale compute capacity, a new international subsea gateway and large-scale energy infrastructure. Through it, we will bring our industry-leading technology to enterprises and users in India, accelerating AI innovation and driving growth across the country." Unquote. And overwhelmed by the investment announcement by Google, in a post on X, Prime Minister Modi wrote, and I quote, "Delighted by the launch of Google AI Hub in the dynamic city of Visakhapatnam, Andhra Pradesh. This multifaceted investment that includes gigawatt-scale data center infrastructure aligns with our vision to build a Viksit Bharat. It will be a powerful force in democratizing technology. It will also ensure AI for all, delivering cutting-edge tools to our citizens, boosting our digital economy and securing India's place as a global technology leader." Unquote. All right, sports updates now. We'll start with cricket. India sealed a decisive 7-wicket victory over the West Indies in the second test at the Arun Jaitley Stadium in Delhi, completing a dominant 2-0 series sweep on Tuesday. Kuldeep Yadav was adjudged player of the match for his superb bowling, while Ravindra Jadeja was named player of the series for his all-round performance. As more on the home series win and its implications on the WTC points table. Dominant India clinched a 2-0 series sweep against a hapless West Indies side as the host secured a 7-wicket win in the second test match at New Delhi. India's ace opener KL Rahul smashed a well-composed half-century to take the host over the line comfortably on day 5. West Indies put up a spirited fight, but India were once again too strong to be denied. After posting a mammoth 518 for 5 declared in the first innings, India enforced the follow-on but were briefly challenged by a gritty Caribbean resistance. John Campbell and Shea Hope led the fight back for the West Indies side with 2 superb centuries, stitching together a 182-run stand. Kuldeep Yadav and Jasprit Bumrah turned the tide with 3 wickets apiece. Tailenders Justin Greaves and Jayden Seales stitched a stubborn 79-run partnership for the 10th wicket, setting a target of 121 for India. India made the target look easy. KL Rahul remained unbeaten on 58, while Sai Sudarshan added 39 to guide the team home with 7 wickets to spare. India's twin victories in Ahmedabad and Delhi further strengthened their position in the World Test Championship standings. Shubman Gill's men now sit third on the table after Australia and Sri Lanka. Ravindra Jadeja was named player of the series for his all-round brilliance, scoring a century and taking 8 wickets. Kuldeep Yadav, who starred with an 8-wicket match haul in Delhi, was adjudged player of the match. A confident Indian side will now gear up for a test series against South Africa starting November 14. Sports Desk, DD India. And Australia will miss the services of leg spinner Adam Zampa and wicketkeeper Josh Inglis in the first home ODI against India in Perth on Sunday. Matthew Kuhnemann and Josh Philippe have been called in as replacements for the much-anticipated series. Zampa will miss the fixture due to paternity reasons, while Inglis is recovering from a calf strain. Inglis will also miss the second ODI scheduled for next week in Adelaide, which will see Alex Carey's return to the 50-over setup. Carey is featuring in a Sheffield Shield match as part of his preparations for the Ashes, which will keep him out of the first match. The 3-match series between India and Australia will commence on October 19. Well, that's all we have in this edition of DD India News Hour. But do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek Mahajan from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.